What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Crunch Time here on this Sunday afternoon or morning, depending on where you are situated throughout the United States. I don't know if we have anybody who's not in the United States, but it could be a different time zone. Who knows? Probably not. Anyways, welcome. I'm Britt Devine here with Tim and Justin. We remember TJ. He's out for a little bit doing all of his other stuff that he does in life. So we got a different crew here, a little bit of a different mix, but Justin writes the articles on the weekends. Tim's almost always on. I try to do one of the shows on the weekends. So hopefully we can win you guys some money. Justin, I'll start with you. I talked to Tim for a brief second before the show, and this is a tale of two different sites today. On FanDuel, Tim said we can make super teams. On DraftKings, I don't want to play anybody. How are you handling today overall with basically the two differences between the sites?
Yeah, it's weird because we have every single Pacific time zone team is at home this weekend, which I found is like it's a rarity. I was trying to figure out why there were so few games on the main slate. Looked at the schedule. All the West Coast teams are at home. So that means all those games are starting at 4 p.m. So those aren't on the main slate. So we only have 7 games on DraftKings today. As usual, FanDuel adding the Coors game on Sundays when they're at home. So we've got 8 over there. But that's still a pretty smallish slate. We're used to 10, 11 on Sundays. So only having 7 or 8 really narrows down your options. And there's really, if you're playing on DraftKings, right, there's the highest implied team total is a team that's facing Kevin Gausman. So it's like no offense that you feel like you absolutely need to have. There's a couple of pretty good pitchers, but I don't know, it's just kind of muddy today. It's not the most exciting slate. FanDuel adding the Coors game on Sundays, which I actually like. I despise when FanDuel splits up their slates all the time on Saturdays. Drives me crazy. But on Sundays, when they add the Coors Field game into the main slate, I like that. It gives us another angle to talk about. So it does look a little bit different over there today. But yeah, not the most exciting slate otherwise. Pretty limited Sunday, but everybody's got the same player pool, so somebody's got to win.
Yeah, Tim, real quick, FanDuel, if you do anything other than Coors, you're going to be different today. On DraftKings, it's going to be it's up for grabs on who's going to be the highest on the team, players, and all of that over there. So what we're going to do today, Tim and I are going to handle cash. We're going to throw Justin to more of the tournament takes today. So Tim, let's start out. If we want to pull up the screen share too, we can get that on the SimLabs. Let's talk starting pitching. We're not really using core starting pitching, so we can kind of delve into the sites here the same. There's some pricing discrepancies. What are we doing as our number one starter today? It's basically for me, it's between Joe Ryan and Tariq Skubal. I don't know if you peeped that Baltimore lineup, but they are straight giving up on Kremer. They got swept yesterday. They're giving up. They got swept in the doubleheader. They're waving the white flag today. So the Baltimore lineup, it is not the normal Baltimore offense. Who you got at the top between those two? I think there's a couple other guys maybe in the mix, but just not quite there for me today.
Yeah, so initially when I looked at the slate, I was like, I don't even know if we necessarily have to play Skubal even in cash games. But then I saw that lineup and I completely changed my mind because that is a watered down lineup to say the least. So I think on both FanDuel and DraftKings, Tariq Skubal is going to be my SB1. Just because, I mean, that lineup is just so bad. I think we gave Skubal pretty significant projections increase, pretty large, especially for baseball. So definitely, I think Skubal is pretty much a must play in cash games. And then I think it's pretty easy. It's just going to be Joe Ryan as your SP2. He could really probably be your SB1 on FanDuel as well. I think it's pretty close. So if you find yourself needing that money, which I don't think you really do, if you need that 600 on FanDuel, I think you can do it. But it's definitely, I think it's Skubal for me, still on FanDuel. But yeah, Joe Ryan and Tariq Skubal, your cash game pitchers on DraftKings.
Yeah, that's who I was leaning to. I like Hunter Brown quite a bit too. What's your take on him? His underlying metrics, I mean, it's a low strikeout matchup against Kansas City today in theory, but I mean, his StatCast, a lot of the advanced metrics, I mean, they coincide with all this green you see here. Sometimes you'll see a lot of green and you look at the underlying stuff and you wonder how on earth that pitcher's pulling it off. But Brown stuff looks immaculate so far this season. There are a couple higher strikeout bats in the bottom of the order today for the Royals. He's basically like 1B for me today. I like him quite a bit more than the projections.
Yeah, so on FanDuel, we're looking at 32% on Scooball. We're looking at 35% on Joe Ryan in terms of projected ownership, and then you have Hunter Brown at 3.5%. So I mean, that's a fantastic GPP play. He can definitely contend with these guys in terms of raw points, but just the discount in ownership alone, you're going to be very, very different. So like if you still wanted to play Coors, let's say, but you just wanted a contrarian lineup, an easy way to do it is to just play Hunter Brown over Scooball or Joe Ryan. Is he the most likely guy to have the most raw points today? No, but I mean that's why we take those chances in GPPs and not in cash games.
Yeah, Brown, at least according to SimLabs, the most optimal DraftKings pitcher, simply because everyone's going to be on Scooball and Joe Ryan. He's sort of in the no man's land between them, which is keeping his ownership down a little bit today. Cards, let's talk tournaments. Maybe between those top three, what's your analysis between those? Taylor McGill, also very cheap on DraftKings, 7,700. His ERA 1.09. His underlying metrics not as good as a guy like Hunter Brown, but it's not horrible either. He's still pitching pretty well, reasonably cheap price today. And then who else would you be looking at to get different in tournaments?
Yeah, fun fact on Hunter Brown that I uncovered when I was writing this morning. Hunter Brown's ERA last year at this time was 9.85. And I remember writing about him the first month or two of last season. Like, I can't remember what the BABIP was against him at this time last year, but it was like 400 or some goofy number, where his ERA was in the 9s and his Sierra was still, 3.8 or 3.9. And now this year, he had all that bad luck at the start of last year. Now this year he's been dynamite through the first month. So funny how things can turn, with sample size and stuff. And he pitched against Cardinals a few weeks ago, looked really good. So I agree on the Hunter Brown GPP call. I think he's a really strong pivot away from Scooball and Ryan. Earlier in the day, it was looking like Scooball wouldn't have nearly the ownership, especially on it's a case of on FanDuel. Chris Bubich is more expensive than Scooball, which is just kind of funny to see. And on DraftKings, Scooball is like $2K higher than Joe Ryan salary wise. So at the beginning of the day, you were thinking maybe we don't need to play Scooball against the Orioles. But now with that lineup, like you guys mentioned, I think that the Scooball Ryan combo will definitely be probably 70% of cash game combos today. So in GPPs, anything other than that combo, I think is a little bit different. So that includes Hunter Brown. That includes Tyler McGill, who I tagged earlier in the day. Just like the strikeout stuff from him, I think against Washington, the Mets have won 9 out of 10 or something like that. They've been playing great baseball. So yeah, McGill would be my favorite, especially if you need to save just a touch more salary. He's down at 7,700 on DK. Probably don't need it over on FanDuel. And if you're going even cheaper than that, I know Logan Allen's picking up some ownership. I have no interest there.
No chance.
Just not playing him against Boston. Bellows only made one start this year. He's got intriguing stuff. But it's not like you're saving a whole lot by going down that far. Like he's 7,200 on DK. So I'm probably not going below McGill. I think McGill and Hunter Brown are my favorite tournament plays. Gausman, if you want to hope that he can keep Aaron Judge in the yard, but probably not getting too cute. Pretty small pool for me today, maybe just 4 or 5 guys.
All right. We don't have any Spidey bombs today, but I've got scores and odds. And if we get a few more likes, we'll do 50, 100, and then 125. I'll give you some bets there if you're looking to get into the sports betting streets. I've got Aaron Judge as soon as you guys hit the like button just a few more times. So real quick, Tim, if you the worst pitcher you'd play in a tournament today. So guys, like I'm not playing Eric Fetty. I'm not playing Bello. I'm not playing Logan Allen. I'm not playing a Quintana. So I think maybe like a Soriano, a Parker, and like even a Dean Kremer. I mean, it's not looking good for him, but those are probably the guys I'd be more than willing to take, just a little bit more strikeout upside, because between Ryan, Skubal, McGill, Hunter, Brown, right, at least one of them is going to have a good game, if not two of them. You're going to need a reasonable performance, and the low strikeout pitchers aren't going to get it done today.
Yeah, I mean, when I first looked at the slate, I thought Dean Kramer was kind of interesting, but then I saw the bats. Like, there's not like a real, spend up, huge expensive stack that I necessarily have to have here. So I think the most expensive I would go is what Justin said with Tyler McGill at 7,700.
All right, so I see you guys hit the like button. Let me bring scores and odds up over on the screen share for the people. My first pick, let me make it a little bigger so you can see everybody. It's going to be Aaron Judge over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Absolutely smashing this line throughout the season. Absolutely owns Kevin Gaussman in BVP over a big sample. I know we don't talk BVP too much on the show. It's Aaron Judge, in a big sample. I'm willing to put a little bit of thought into that. Absolutely love Judge today, even with there's wind blowing out pretty hard. It's not exactly out to right field. It's like somewhat across and somewhat out, according to Mr. Kevin Roth. But I like Judge. I mean, he's absolutely a 400 average. He could hit 3 home runs any game. Plenty of run scoring potential for the Yankees today. His hits, runs, and RBIs to me should be 2.5. Should be the base number, no matter who is on the mound against him. So getting 1.5 at even a respectable number of 130 looks pretty good to me.
How about Suarez, by the way, with 4 dingers last night?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, he had more fantasy points than a lot of basketball players did last night. So always those are so. Was there a 4? Did anyone see a 4 home run ticket? Because he's going to be a total degenerate to hit those.
I did not. I do know that the Cardinals team leader right now for the season has 4. Which is sad to see that Suarez hit that many last night. But I was hoping he'd get up for another shot. But Diamondbacks couldn't tie it there in the 10th, so stuck with 4.
I see you liking the Cardinals again today. Maybe we'll talk about that in a little bit. Cards, let's talk offense in general today. Maybe give me talk cores. How do you expect their ownership on FanDuel to be? Because you can get full core stacks with your favorite pitcher, no problem today. You can get 8 players from cores and your best pitcher without question on FanDuel today. And then maybe switch it over to DraftKings on what you like for offense. I've got the SimLabs pulled up here.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost impossible to ignore the Reds, right? They're facing the call-up starter, bullpen game, whatever you want to call it, whatever the Rockies are doing, it's probably not going to work. I think the issue with these Coors games is always going to come down to what we want to do with the Rockies, because this is a team that we target pitchers against. If it wasn't for their home park, we'd target pitchers against them every day. Probably wouldn't matter. Like, the Rockies are 4-22. They're awful. This team is horrendous. I mean, they're rolling out, a rookie catcher hitting cleanup and Kyle Farmer hitting third. And it's just, there's very little skill in that offense. And the only thing that's keeping them afloat for fantasy purposes is, they're playing at Coors. And, Nick Lodolo hasn't seen a ton of strikeouts so far this year. It's really weird because when he first came up in the league, he was a big strikeout guy, but walked a lot of guys. Now he's not walking anybody. He's not pitching for as many strikeouts. So he's pitching to contact a little bit more, whether that's intentional or sample size. I guess time will tell on that, but it's not like Nick Lodolo is a gas can. He's a pretty good pitcher. He's a lefty. And look, I think you got to play 4 Reds on FanDuel. No question about that. The Rockies, I'm probably out on today. They've maybe had one game at home where you absolutely needed to have them in the whole month of April. I'm not going to argue with anybody that wants to stack them. I mean, yeah, anything can happen, but the offense just has no talent. So the Rockies are still pretty far down the list for me. Once you get over to DraftKings, it's pretty much a free-for-all. I like the Twins a lot earlier in the day, but Byron Buxton's not in that lineup today. I don't like them quite as much now. I'm okay with the Yankees, but do I want to stack up a team that's getting steamed up pretty good against Gaussman? So I don't think there's an absolute must-have squad on DraftKings today. I think the Mets probably default to being my favorite. Kind of like the Tigers. I kind of like the Cardinals, but it's a really strange slate for offense today.
All right, let's jump into some position by position. Tim Catcher today on DraftKings. I'm finding myself going cheap. I don't really like any of the. I mean, there's not really an expensive catcher. The highest is Ohapi at 4,500. You're probably not going to play him against Joe Ryan. There's really nothing all too interesting. Maybe Contreras from Milwaukee against Fetty, but I'm trying to go cheap. A Bo Naylor. I don't know. Not a position I really like today. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's a pretty ugly position, definitely on DraftKings. I think Bo Naylor is your cash game guy. If you don't want to go that cheap, or if you have a little extra money, I like Ryan Jeffers today at 3,600, batting sixth. And then I think for GPPs, obviously you could spend up for a William Contreras at 4,300. I don't mind him as like a one-off on that Brewers team. Or you could even go like a Yonder Diaz as part of like a Houston stack. But I think in cash, you're either going Bo Naylor or Ryan Jeffers.
Yeah. Justin, real quick, give me like 20 seconds for tournaments here. There's not much to do here.
It's the usual Sunday, but it seems worse today. It's like everybody's giving
but everyone's getting the day off today.
Give all the catchers the day off. Like we do I do the consensus value rankings on Sundays, and you got to list 4 catchers. And when I went back to update my rankings later, 3 of them weren't playing. So I had to basically put a whole new group in there. Like, Alvarez, I liked for the Mets. Homered yesterday, just came back, but he's out today. I think William Contreras is probably the top guy if you're spending up, but I'm totally fine going down to Bo Naylor on DK at $2,400. It's probably not a position that's going to kill you today, regardless of who you play.
Yeah, let's go to first base. Tim, there's basically 2 ways I think to play this on draft. Again, on FanDuel, I don't know if we're going to talk too much cash on FanDuel, Tim. I think we're going to skip that in the interest of time because it's Coors Field on FanDuel. Just play Coors.
Yeah, I mean on FanDuel, you're playing 4 Reds, and then you're sprinkling some Colorado, maybe some Minnesota, but FanDuel cash is really simple today.
So that's the FanDuel cash. We're going to stick to DraftKings because it's a little more nuanced, I think, on DraftKings today.
Yeah,
so you can spend up. You got a Pete Alonso, you got a Ben Rice, you got a Torkelson if you want to target Kremer and the Baltimore bullpen. I mean, if Kremer gets hit, they had a doubleheader yesterday, and they're already waving the white flag. I mean, it can get really ugly for Baltimore's pitching staff in this game reasonably quickly. So I like Detroit a good amount today. You've got Contreras, who's 3,200, is basically your cheapish option on DraftKings today. Am I in the right ballpark for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think Contreras is the cheaper option. I think Ty France, if you need it also, he's a decent cheap option, batting cleanup today at 2,900. And then your spend up is Pete Alonso. I'm personally not playing Ben Rice in cash games, but I mean, just because I think there are better plays below him and above him, but he's fine for single entry GPP type stuff. But I think you're probably going Contreras. I'm kind of considering Minnesota today. So I might be going Ty France. And then depending on what I do with the rest of my team, if I have tons of money to spend, it's going to be Pete Alonso.
Yeah, Cards, what do you think of maybe these top owned guys? I'm looking at Contreras, France, Alonso, Goldschmidt, Rice. Do you have a favorite from them? And then you got any one-offs you're looking at to hit a home run?
Yeah, a couple one-offs for tournaments. I think Wilson Contreras is probably the cash play for me. He's looked a lot better. If you take out those first couple weeks, the at-bats have been a lot better. He's 3,200, 2 more hits yesterday, and Quintana's not exactly going to blow the ball by anybody. He struggled with the Ks, Contreras has, but not necessarily the matchup where you got a pitcher that's going to blow it past you. So to me, in cash games, it would probably be down to Contreras and Alonso, depending on how much salary you have. GPPs, though, a couple of interesting guys. Christian Walker would be one. I'm not completely sold on Chris Bubich being a stud. His numbers have been really strong this year, and they were great last year, but that was out of the bullpen. I need to see him sustain it as a starter a little bit more before I'm ready to buy into him as like a 10K pitcher. Christian Walker has made a career out of, smashing against left-handed pitching. He's had a tough start to the season, so that's definitely GPP only, but he's all the way down to 3,400 on DK now. And slates like this are often won by just doing something weird, an off the board stack. It doesn't take a whole lot on a day where you're probably going to see a lot of like 4-3, 5-2 type of games. If you get, I'm not saying you need 4 homers, but something like Suarez last night or the Mariners scored like 14 runs. You get one team that does that on a slate like this and it completely breaks things open. I don't hate targeting some of Toronto's bats, maybe just like the one-off power guys against Max Fried, lower strikeout pitcher, good weather for hitting in New York. So Vlad Guerrero, I think, is perfectly fine as a one-off today as well. We got him at like 4% ownership. It doesn't seem optimal on the surface, but those are the type of things that can win on slates like this. So Contreras, Alonso, and cash for me. I like Walker and Vlad for GPPs.
I'm going to throw in Torkelson. Like this Detroit stack quite a bit today. I don't even mind a couple Detroit players in your cash team on either site today if you are looking for something a little different. All right, let's go to second base. Tim, cash. Again, no FanDuel. Let's talk mainly DraftKings here. You've got 2 cheap Twins players. So let's break the tie. You want to spend $800 more for the leadoff hitter and Edward Julian, or do you want to go all the way down to the 5th hitter and Mickey Gaspar for the minimum price at $2K? Other than that, is there someone you would spend up on? So let's talk those 2 cheap plays because you're probably picking between one of those on DraftKings.
Yeah, I'm going Mickey Casper at the Stone Min. He's 2K. I'm fine if people want to play Julian. I'm going Casper. I think if you're looking for a spend up or at least a little bit more salary, maybe a Gleyber Torres at 4,500. But I mean, I don't really love that. I think you're prioritizing spending down at this position because it's incredibly weak today. I don't mind like Acuna at 3,500 as part of like a contrarian Mets stack, or a contrarian part of a Mets stack, or like a Brendan Rodgers as part of like a Houston stack. But in terms of cash, you're playing one of those 2 Minnesota guys, and my preference is Gasper.
Yeah, Gasper also the stone worst optimal play according to.
I bet he's going to be. I bet he's going to be pretty. I bet he's going to be pretty overowned in Sims.
Yeah, so let's go to tournaments, Justin. I've pulled up the, in theory, best tournament plays according to SimLabs. I like guys like Jazz Chisholm. I think you can convince me to play. Who else was up here? There's another guy I was looking at. I do like Torres. Any Tigers bat in like the top 5 or 6 of that lineup definitely gets it done for me. Terang. The Brewers are an interesting stack for me too because they have the matchup's not horrible, and then you add in 14 stolen bases per game. Those fantasy points come through pretty quick for them. Terang, a big part of that. What are you doing in tournaments at second?
Yeah, I don't mind the Brewers as another off the board team to look at today, but what I've kind of thought through during this discussion of these cash game type of plays is we talk about how bad that Baltimore lineup is. Soriano becomes a little bit more interesting for me with each position we go through and all these crappy Minnesota hitters that are going to be somewhat popular today, right? It's no Buxton in that lineup. And I'm not saying Soriano is great, but he can get some strikeouts on the right day. And it's risky, and Minnesota is still projected for a pretty high run total, but you got Ty France is going to have some ownership. Catcher's going to have some ownership. These 2 second basemen are going to have some ownership. You could do worse than rolling Soriano in some GPP lineups, particularly on DraftKings. You absolutely don't want to do it on FanDuel where Minnesota won't be nearly as popular, but I think it's at least interesting. Head nod to that on DK. Like the Terang call, he's put up really good numbers against right-handed pitching so far this year. And if you're sticking with Brewers, stick with the top 5-ish guys in that lineup. There are some, it falls off pretty quickly towards the bottom, but Torres, Terang, even Brendan Donovan, lefty is fine, I think, for GPPs. Brendan Rodgers, if you need a punt, though, he's hitting 8th, so I don't have as much interest in him as I would have. I think we had him originally projected 5th, so that's probably it for second today.
All right, give me a couple more likes on YouTube, and I will let Justin tell you about one of his favorite money line plays if you're looking to sports bet.
I do have one. I do have one tater also. I'd like to get.
All right, we'll get to that. We'll throw that in. So give me up to 100 likes. We're almost there. We'll get a couple of more sports bets for you here. Let's go to third base. Tim, I don't know. You can get on both sites. you've got Vientos, who's just having just a horrible start to the season, but maybe it's starting to come around just a little bit. He's got the splits advantage today. It's bad weather. The wind's blowing in out there today. But he kind of fits in salary-wise, I think, on both sites to what you might want to do today. I like McKinstry at 4,000. Bregman's reasonable too at 5,100, but I'm not sure he fits the spot you want to spend today. No one's really a must play, in my opinion. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think you're choosing between three guys. The bat really wants you to play Jonathan India. I'm not about that. I don't really want to play Jonathan India. I'm either going Isaac Paredes or Mark Vientos. They're both 3,600. I think I am going to lean to Vientos, but I'm not 100% confident or 100% sure. I might go Paredes. I do like your Zach McKinstry call quite a bit, batting third for only $400 more off those likely much more popular options, or at least Vientos is going to be much more popular. So I do like that as like maybe a single entry pivot type play. But I think I'm going to go Vientos, but I might go Paredes. I'm not playing Jonathan India.
Only play Paredes at home. I would not play him today. You need those cheap, pull right down the line Crawford box home runs from him to get the upside, and that only happens in Houston. That's why they sign him. Cards, third base, tournaments. What are you doing? And then let's. I think we got enough likes, so wrap up third, and then let's get your one of your money line picks in. We'll get Tim's Tater, and then we'll close out the positions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm totally fine with Vientos against a mediocre lefty. The power is still there. You know, it's just a matter of whether or not he can develop some consistency and hit and clean up in that lineup. They're not going to want Alonso to beat them today. I think Vientos is going to get a lot of RBI opportunities. So don't mind the Vientos McKinstry type mid-range calls, because the very top end just doesn't make sense to me, I think, in terms of optimal use of salary today, right? I like Jose Ramirez, but I respect Bello enough. Probably not prioritizing him today. Devers is lefty. So yeah, Vientos, Bregman, probably the one guy I would choose if I'm going up that high, but that's probably not optimal today. I think Arenado's okay in GPPs as well. Obviously, Britt hinted at it earlier with my one money line pick on scores and odds today is the Cardinals going for their first sweep of the year. They're 2-11 on the road. They're 10-4 at home. They got a walk-off home run yesterday. They're playing well on this current homestand. So the Brewers are in the midst of, I think they're 1-5 on their current road trip. I certainly don't have a ton of faith in the Cardinals long-term, but I've bet them each of the first two games of this series, and they've won both of them. And superstitious me as a Cardinals fan, we're going to bet them every day until the winning streak ends, and that includes today. So if I can get a 10-game winning streak on scores and odds and a 10-game winning streak for my Cardinals, that's a double benefit. But Usually I tend to be the more pessimistic fan, and I probably will be when they go back into the doldrums and go back on the road. But they're playing good ball this weekend, and Quintana, they've got the whole book on him. I mean, he pitched for the Cardinals for a while. So yeah, I do like the Cardinals a bit today.
Thank you for those first two Cardinals wins, by the way. My accounts appreciate it. Tim, let's get the Tater. Who you got for a home run pick today? I'll get the best odds for everybody.
Yeah, I got Trevor Larnach at plus 600 on DraftKings.
All right, let's see what we got here. That is a Twins player for some of you who are not more I forgot the word I was going to say, who aren't in the know of all of the best players out there. So Larnach is I will one-up you with a plus 750 on the FanDuel.com. How does that sound?
Wow. FanDuel's got so much better odds than DK.
Yeah, so if you want to follow Larnach in the 750, those are good enough odds, Tim. I'm going to follow you into that one. I like that quite a bit. He's been swinging a good bat. That one's very interesting to me, so I'm going to go get that one. All right, let's get back to position by position. Shortstop, Tim, I don't know. I'm not playing Bobby Witt. I know the bat was trying to put there. Yeah. I like Brown quite a bit today. I'm on Lindor probably on FanDuel. It's definitely Ellie. But I like Lindor. This is a position I think you want to prioritize today. I don't like the cheap end. There's maybe Correa at 3,400, but he's having a reasonably bad start to the season too. Position I might want to spend up on one of the reasonably good names today.
Yeah, I think Lindor is the correct call. I think if you don't have the money, then Correa is the play. But I'm going to prioritize Lindor in my cash games teams today. I don't mind getting like Trevor Story in single entry, even Bobby Witt in single entry, but I don't think he's a cash game play. But yeah, I think Lindor is the cash game guy today.
Yeah, Cards. What about in tournaments? What are we doing at shortstop today?
Yeah, I'm surprised that Bobby Witt getting as much love. I figured he would have been, 3-4% owned today. So I like Hunter Brown a good bit, but I think Witt is a strong one-off. And with the ownership being a little bit higher than I originally expected, maybe don't love that as much as I did say at 9 o'clock, but he's never a problem playing him if you want to. Jeremy Pena leading off for Houston, I think is interesting. Again, I'm probably a little higher on Houston's bats than most today. Talked about Toronto's one-off as strong GPP guys against Max Fried, so Bichette. Those are a couple guys that in the mid-range, most people try to spend up at this position, and most people that are looking to go cheaper are probably going to play Correa. So Pena, Bichette, maybe Trey Sweeney if you're on Detroit, I think is a solid part of a stack. But otherwise, I think the cash game type plays are probably going to be Correa or Lindor for the most part.
Steve, I see you sneaking in here on a Tater. What is this? A Steve slam? Get yourself in here. Why are you like Riley Green? What are you doing with Mr. Riley Green, Steve? Come on, bring it up. If you're sneaking in here, you got to get on.
I'm just putting it in because I like the matchup against Kramer. It's Detroit versus Orioles, right?
Yep.
And I'm just on a 1-day streak. Yesterday in chat, I gave out Francisco Alvarez plus 700.
I'm also on a 1-game streak. So
I'm just gonna see if I can continue rolling.
I swept on scores and odds yesterday. Justin hit the Cardinals. This is like the on fire crew right here.
I was one strikeout away from the Luzardo yesterday from getting an extra win. So lost that one, but that's okay.
All right. So thanks to Steve for coming on here. I like I will take. You could give me any Tigers bat to hit a home run, and I would take that. Let me make sure Steve's got the best odds for that one. If you guys want to follow in, I fully endorse a green home run today. Let's see. I got a 560 on the FanDuel.com for everybody if you want to follow.
You said any Tigers bet, Britt. That means you got to go bet Javi Baez to hit the ball.
Yeah, he's got to be his odds. I mean, he's plus 1,000 on ESPN. I don't know. Probably wouldn't bet that one. But some of the other guys look.
Said anyone.
Let's go outfield. Let's talk Judge conundrum, and I guess Tim, we can even talk FanDuel on this one. Would you play Aaron Judge over Ellie De La Cruz? Right, if that's your allotment of salary today, who you got on FanDuel between those two?
Yeah, I really wouldn't play Judge in cash games on FanDuel today. I'd rather get to like Bretton Doyle, as weird as it sounds, or like Hunter Goodman, even like an Austin Hayes. Like I know that sounds weird, but Judge is 4,600 on FanDuel, so I don't think you have to play him in cash, at least on FanDuel.
All right, I want to ask you. So a couple other guys, Jordan Alvarez. What are you doing with him? I mean, horrible start. Not it's lefty. He typically hits lefties fine, but I mean he's having a bad start. Bubic has been good. I'm not playing him. I'm going against basically the statistics, the projections, all of that. I'm not playing him today on my cash team. Are you?
I'm not playing Jordan Alvarez on my cash game team. No.
Now, to me, that seemed like a Tim pick. So I'm glad you're on the same page as me today.
Yeah, no, I do agree with you. I'm going Kerry Carpenter as like my first outfielder in at 4K. I know that Cards is on him as well in lineup HQ. I also like Trevor Larnach quite a bit for cash games. Aaron Judge on DK, I think he's a better play on DK than he is on FanDuel by a ton. So I am playing Aaron Judge in cash, at least on DK at 6,500. He's pretty easy to get to. I think he's your best source for raw points because we don't have cores on DK.
Yeah, owns Gaussman too. Not that BB.
I didn't even know that
really matters, but it's a strikeout or a bomb. So you're hoping for the home runs, but it's a good overall good average everything for him over a decent sample size. Cards. So if we are playing I think Judge, the Tigers, Carpenter and McKinstry. You've got Riley Green in there too. Tim mentioned Trevor Larnach. It looks like a Yelich, a Soto lefty are going to be reasonably popular. Starling Marte. We've got the Mets, the Tigers, the Yankees a little bit in here today. What would be your preference in tournaments? Would you be spending up on a guy like Judge? You can make that work reasonably easy today. There are a couple cheaper positions. He's my top priority on DraftKings, and I agree with Tim. You don't need him on FanDuel today.
Yeah, it's really tough to fade Aaron Judge with the way he's hitting the baseball, and like you say, the way he's seen the ball against Gausman in the past. I'm underweight on the Yankees as a whole, so that makes me nervous. Like, just walk him every time. I don't care as long as he doesn't hit 2 bombs today. Just don't let him hit multiple home runs and then just tank my rosters. I don't mind playing him by any means. Play him but I'm just underweight on the Yankees as a whole. I don't have them as a stack today, so it scares me to take that position, and it's not an anti-Judge position at all. It's just where I am on my exposure to the Yankees. So, and it's especially tough because Outfield does not have this wide array of options that you feel like you need to go out and get today. That's why some of these other guys are popping up as popular plays when you maybe wouldn't expect it. Like Carpenter, I do like quite a bit. I'm with you guys. I like the Tigers. Nolan Jones is hitting cleanup for Cleveland today, so they're still trying to make him a thing. I think he's interesting in GPPs. It being contrarian for like somebody like Mike Trout against Joe Ryan, who's going to have ownership. Like, there's a number of different ways you can play this. Jackson Chourio hit an absolute bomb in the 9th off Ryan Helsley yesterday and has been just raking this weekend. So he's fine as a one-off play. You mentioned the Brewers are going to run if they get on base. So Chourio, I think, is really, really interesting for tournaments. He'd probably be my favorite high-end pivot, but it's not the deepest position on this shorter slate today.
Yeah, normally we have like a couple 2 to 3K outfielders on DraftKings, and Tim, those guys are non-existent today. So this is a position you want to allocate some salary to, right?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
All right, so there's some outfielder takes. We're going to do some questions, some QQs. You can throw them into the YouTube chat. You can throw them into the RotoGrinders live stream chat. I see Sherman in the live stream chat had one, and I think this is pretty interesting. Tim, FanDuel cash, Gavin Lux or Kerry Carpenter, right? So I would still take the Coors Field, but like Carpenter's better than Gavin Lux, just not today. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, exactly. Just not today. I would stick for in Coors for cash.
Yeah, I like Carpenter quite a bit, and that was actually Lux is sitting in my utility on FanDuel, and it was that was the absolute exact decision I had for my last spot. Was those two, and I went with Lux. Let's see. Going to go to YouTube. I see. Looks like Tim's been answering some questions, but we'll get some from in here. It's me. Breezy wanted to know Riley Green or McKinstry for DraftKings. So let's rank the Detroit outfielders today, because you got Green, Carpenter, and McKinstry.
So it'd be Carpenter, Green, McKinstry for me, but I mean they're all really good. I would prioritize Carpenter and cash, but between those two, it's Green.
All right. Let's see if I can get a couple more in here. I see Eric liking Jackson Chourio as well. Do you need to play Judge in a Yankee stack on DraftKings? I mean, you would be the only person not playing Aaron Judge in a Yankee stack on DraftKings if you choose to ignore Aaron Judge. I think, I guess, Cards, what do you think from like a game theory? If you're stacking the Yankees, you're using Aaron Judge, but can the Yankees get there without Aaron Judge? And you be like the one guy who doesn't have Aaron Judge. Does that make
When's the last time the Yankees stack has gotten there without Aaron Judge being a part of it? It seems like he's hitting 410 or whatever.
Yeah.
From a game theory perspective, like I can see the logic behind it. But I don't trust, like if you took, let's think of it this way. If you took Aaron Judge out of that lineup, let's say he was getting the day off, would you have any interest in stacking the Yankees against a pitcher like Gausman with what is left of their lineup? Like they've got some, they're missing a couple guys. I just don't see the rest of the lineup getting there to be optimal. Like if you want to do it, you're strictly just doing it because you're hoping that the Yankees can get there and somehow it's not Judge doing all the damage. Like if I'm building 100 entries, yeah, I could throw a couple of those in there. But if you're only doing 10 or 5 or whatever, yeah, I think that's probably qualifying under the too cute category.
Cards, I'm going to throw a tournament question to you from Beaner in the Discord chat. McGill or Ryan for a FanDuel tournament today?
FanDuel, I mean, you're getting like next to no ownership on McGill over there. Like from a raw points perspective, I think it's Joe Ryan. From a tournament ownership perspective, I think there's a chance that McGill could outscore him today at, a quarter of the ownership. So I like McGill and GPPs.
All right, we've got a cheap shortstop question, which to me is not how you want to make your lineups, but yep, that's me. We're going to answer this for you. Single entry, Sagasi or Win? We're going dumpster diving at the shortstop position cards from your number one.
Yeah, it's 2 Cardinals. Mason Wynn was injured at the
is that your burner? Is that your burner, Justin?
Yeah.
Probably. No, I don't play them a ton. I tend to be the pessimistic fan. Yeah, Mason Wynn's been taking better at bats since he came back from the injured list. Like he was terrible at the end of last year. He was terrible at the start of this year. He was terrible in spring training. So they basically, he was their leadoff guy last year, and they basically shoved him into the 9 spot. He's been taking better at bats, but he's still hitting 9th. And I just don't. I have a tough time with a guy hitting 9th that hasn't shown a bunch of ceiling plays. Sajasi's been taking good at bats too. So yeah, if you're punting, I'd take Sajasi hitting 6th, but you don't have to play either of them, obviously.
If you are here, we would appreciate clicking the like button one last time. I got no more picks for you. Well, actually, here, let me see. I think I got a couple more. Let me throw one more to you guys. I know you guys are going to click the like button. I was really on the Reds earlier, but the line has moved so much. I don't know. I got him at 120 when Feltner was in, and then it went nuts once he got scratched. I guess I like, let me see if any of these are still good here. Give me Teoscar in the later games today. He's not on the slate we're talking about today, but over 1.5 total bases for Teoscar Hernandez. Low strikeout pitcher, low strikeout bullpen. Hopefully he can make some contact. Great against lefties. When he can put the ball in play, that's a lot of bases for him. I like him at even money today. Looks like minus 105. I'd still take that too. So like Teoscar from the late games. Cards, real quick. Someone's just joining. They're deciding pitching. Give me 1 minute on pitching real quick.
Yeah, Tariq Skubal is probably your number one option, especially on FanDuel where he's cheaper than like 3 other guys. On DraftKings, it's a little bit more at least of a discussion because he's priced up a little bit. I still think given the weak Baltimore lineup today, Skubal's probably becomes the guy. Otherwise, it's Joe Ryan or some combination of, Skubal and Ryan on DK, I think is going to be the chalk today. Tyler McGill, Hunter Brown would be my 2 favorite tournament pivots.
I see Tim answered this, but Mateo wanted to know Correa and Sal Perez or Lindor and Bo Naylor for DraftKings cash. That's definitely Lindor, Bo Naylor. Tim, I agree with you. That one's not particularly close, and I think both of those guys are in my DraftKings cash lineup. So I would be lying if I said anything otherwise.
Correct.
We got just another minute left here. I don't see any in Discord. I think we've gotten most of the questions out here today. Guys, I think it's time to go here. It's only a 7-game slate. Normally over like 10, we're up against it a little bit more, but we got it done today. Good show. Cards, any final thought? I guess it's too late for anyone to really do anything, so I won't even ask you the question I was going to do here. What's everybody doing today? The rest of the day? Mother's Day. Let's talk Mother's Day plans. I'm having trouble trying to figure out what to get my wife, Justin. What are some ideas from Justin to get a wife for Mother's Day coming up?
You see, my kids are almost teenagers now, so it becomes a constant battle of trying not to forget. But anything. Let's see what you guys have 2 kids now, right?
Yep.
So, and they're still at the age where you can pull your
3
hair
and
out
1
times. Yeah. So anything that gets her away from the children for a day is probably going to be much appreciated. I don't know what her style is, but spa day, hair, nails, whatever. Trip to Disney for a day whatever it is.
All those things are coming up, Justin, as you would expect.
Well, then
Very
you got it
good.
covered.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got it working then.
All right. So now I was looking. All right. So I'm on the right track. Some good advice from Justin there. I think we're going to wrap it up. Thanks to everybody for watching the show today. Click the like button on the way out. We would appreciate it. And for Tim and Justin, I'm Britt. Thanks for watching, everybody. And we out.